We all have dreams, right? But time passes and the dreams just stay dreams. Why don't we simply start moving toward them? Instead, we either do nothing at all or we do everything except the one thing we actually need to do. What's the reason? Maybe laziness, procrastination, fear of failure. YouTube throws a ton of diagnoses at us, creating complete chaos in our heads, but none of these diagnoses hit close enough to actually make us get up and go after what we want. Because sure, you might have laziness, you might have procrastination, but every person's laziness and procrastination is completely unique, with its own tactics, its own traps, its own way of keeping you stuck. And nobody's going to tell you about the specifics of your laziness, because it's yours. Your own wonderful, terrible, one-of-kind laziness, and only you can deal with it, and here's your weapon. We live in a pretty unique time when it comes to technology. Self-reflection has never been more accessible, so I wrote a prompt for AI based on narrative therapy that helps you find and understand your own unique reason for doing nothing. All I have to do is just copy-paste it into Claude, not ChatGPT. It handled this words in my tests, so Claude, one love, much better. Play an interactive game with the AI, not just information, but a real conversation that adapts to your story, and get your own individual answer to what's actually stopping me from going after my dream. And I'm just going to give it to you, for free of course, because it's really cool. So in this video we are going to break down the psychology behind this prompt and what to pay attention to, so get something useful out of it. Okay, let's go. The problem is the problem. The person is not the problem. This is one of the core principles in narrative therapy, a direction in psychology founded by Michael White and David Epstein. Imagine a world where I'm lazy or I'm someone who never finished anything simply doesn't exist as a concept. In narrative therapy, it doesn't. Instead, I have laziness is getting in the way of my goals, or procrastination is pulling me away from my dreams. The problem is outside, not inside you. The problem gets a concrete image, something that's always around you but is not a part of you, something that influences your choices, your behavior, your life. And if the problem is an external factor rather than a part of who you are, suddenly there is room to work with it, to control it, reduce it, maybe even get rid of it altogether, and finally feel free. This is called the externalizing conversation, a method where a narrative therapist helps a client identify the problem and then turn it into something understandable and external. And that word understandable is key. So to make this method understandable to you, let me give an absolutely fantastic example from real practice of Michael White, one of the founders of narrative therapy. A little boy named Jeffrey came to Michael White with his parents. Jeffrey had been diagnosed with ADHD, confirmed by 2 pediatricians and a school psychologist. He literally could not sit still, running, crawling, jumping. But one single question from Michael got this kid to actually listen and engage in the session without even realizing it. Michael didn't ask the parents about ADHD like others. He asked Jeffrey, "What color is your ADHD? What's its personality like? What does it look like? What are its habits?" By the first session, Jeffrey's ADHD had a name, AHD, because Jeffrey always dropped the D. Michael would ask little Jeffrey how HAD was messing with him at school and at home in words that made sense to Jeffrey. And because of it, Jeffrey got better at handling his AHD and started taking back control of his own life. That's roughly what an externalizing conversation looks like in practice. The problem stopped being an abstract medical label pressing down on Jeffrey. It became something concrete, something you can look at, describe and actually work with. Externalization is when the problem stops being part of you and becomes something separate. Not just I'm lazy, but there is something that's getting in the way of me taking action, and that something is not me. Imagine you're packing for a trip. You have got everything: plans, dreams, to-do lists, intentions, huge backpack. But you can't move, it's too heavy. The narrative approach says, figure out what in that backpack is not yours, pull it out and say, you're not coming with me. Okay, and then start walking without it. Yeah, this thing might sneak back and walk alongside you, like an annoying golem, muttering, nudging you to go back to your old life. But it's not inside you anymore, it's outside. You can see it and you don't have to listen to it. Okay, that's already a huge step, because when you know what you are actually dealing with, you can do something about it. Michael White's book Maps of Narrative Practice puts it this way. In the context of externalizing conversations, the problem ceases to represent the truth about people's identities, and options for successful problem resolution suddenly become visible and accessible. Michael White, Maps of Narrative Practice. And here's where it gets interesting, because everyone has their own specific problem, not just laziness, but something that's only yours, with its own personality, its own patterns, even its own name. If you want, you can give it a nickname, like kids give each other nicknames on the playground. Kids usually really love this game and can build a whole character out of it, like Jeffrey did with his AHD, but we adults tend to take ourselves too seriously for that, right? But you don't have to turn the laziness into a character. Not at all. It really could just be laziness, if that's how you understand it. The main idea is just to separate the problem from yourself and figure out exactly how it's getting in the way of your dreams. And by the way, the problem might not even be laziness. I genuinely got into this game of naming my problem. I wanted to find a name that would make it crystal clear this is mine, my personal, individual, totally unique troublemaker. While testing my problem, I pulled out two problems that perfectly describe my own negative patterns. Meet the first one, the Hulk idealist. Yeah, exactly this. What does he do? Destroys everything the moment something goes wrong. I can build up plans for myself, not even big ones, just regular things I need to get done. But sometimes I get so scared of making a mistake that I reach for self-destruction instead. It used to be really bad back in my college days. Instead of doing the work, I would go out, get wasted, and waste the next day with a hangover. Smoke cigarettes, classic. Instead of making a work plan, spend hours and hours making a list of porn sites I'll never visit again. I know, this is just insane. It even shows up in relationships. Someone once called me the perfect boyfriend, and you know what? Right after that I felt this urge to do something bad, to mess it up a little, you know? Prove them wrong, I'm not perfect, you got the wrong guy. That's literally my Hulk, smashing the good things I planned for myself. The motives? Probably fear of mistakes, fear of responsibility, and yeah, that's my Hulk idealist. The second problem I pulled out of myself through the externalizing conversation is the postponer. This one I think a lot of you will recognize. The constant "I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, there is still time," but a day passes, a week, a year, and nothing changes, you know? Here is the postponer's greatest achievement recently. I needed to submit a stool sample to test for intestinal parasites within 1 week. I stretched that one simple task, literally just dropping off my own shit, to an entire month. If I can't even manage that, what are we even talking about when it comes to chasing dreams? Yeah, it's kinda funny, but I don't like this at all. Now, you might recognize yourself in this too. You might even want to say, oh, that's totally me too, I found my answer, right? But that's not going to help you in the long run, because that's already happened, hasn't it? This is probably isn't the first video you watched on why can't I get myself to do anything, right? You already know about perfectionism and procrastination, the avoiding loop, dopamine, how the brain runs from discomfort straight to your phone. All of that is true and none of it stuck. Or it did, but for like 3 days. And you know why? Maybe because your head is full of chaos right now. Like Bilbo's house in The Hobbit, when 13 dwarves showed up unwanted. You're trying on over diagnosis: laziness, procrastination, ADHD, perfectionism, fear of success, fear of failure. Everything sounds familiar, but nothing actually fits. In that chaos, you can't figure out what's actually stopping you. And you don't need to add my Hulk idealist and my postponer to that chaos, just enough. What I want to give you is a tool that helps you clear the room and keep just 1 or 2 problems, but yours. The Hulk idealist and the postponer are my problems. I'm not giving them to you. Not that I'm being stingy, you can try them on, sure, but they won't fit you as perfectly as they fit me. these are mine. I see these problems now, I recognize them, which means I can catch myself before falling into the same old negative patterns. At least isn't about dodging responsibility, like it wasn't me, it was the postponer who kept putting everything off. No, it's the opposite. It's about taking more responsibility, because now you have a choice. You either let these problems run your life or you don't. You have separated them from yourself, you know them, they are not just some abstract laziness, they are your specific problems with their own values, with their own agenda, just like you have yours. So you might dream of going on a big trip, and your problem dreams of staying on the couch forever. The only question is, whose narrative are you going to follow? The life you want or the life your problem wants? 6, 7. But to make the choice, you first need to find this problem, separate them from yourself, see it, name it, understand what it's after. And if you want to try that, I have got a prompt ready for you. So why did I even start building this? I want to talk about narrative therapy on this channel, but narrative therapy is the art of asking the right questions. Ideally, you do this with an actual therapist, but not everyone has access to that. Sometimes it's money, yeah, sometimes it's just that invisible barrier where you can't quite bring yourself to go. And maybe you're not even sure you need to. But if you have a serious psychological issue, please go to a therapist. For real. Because what I wrote is more like, I have a cough, let me ask ChatGPT if it's cancer or just a cold, you know? A very basic attempt at self-reflection. This won't replace real therapy, and I'm not a psychologist, just a guy. So here is how it works. You copy the text from the pinned comment, don't read the prompt before using it, you'll spoil the questions for yourself. You can check it out afterward if you're curious, and paste it into Claude, hit enter, that's it. I tested both Claude and ChatGPT. I like Claude much better. ChatGPT doesn't handle this prompt well, over improvises and pulls in other psychological techniques that get in the way more than they help, so stick with Claude. Once you paste the prompt into Claude, you'll get a series of questions that adapt to your story. And on some basic level, it gives you the experience of externalizing conversation. The method that helps you identify the problem that's keeping you from moving toward your goal, dream, or whatever it is you want. By the way, Claude improvises really well after the structured part of the session ends. So if you want to keep digging into a problem, just keep the conversation going, it guides you further. So I would love any feedback in the comments, good, bad, what worked, what didn't, maybe some insights from you, whatever. Because this is genuinely just first step. I'm planning to keep improving this prompt on different topics and situations, and then write more prompts based on other narrative therapy techniques. I don't know where this is going, but I'm interested. Hope you are too. In this video, I built a prompt to help you see a problem, pull it out of yourself, make it something you can look at. In the next one, I think I'll talk about what kind of metaphor you can use to actually work with that problem once you have found it. Because the instinct to fight the problem and defeat it or just ignore it, honestly, is one of the worst metaphors you could pick. Why? I'll try to explain in the next video, if the topic doesn't change on me. So subscribe and like, you know the drill, and thanks for watching. Bye. Давай, пока.